Overview of Booking Engine Max Guest Setting in Softinn Extranet. Hello Softinn Booking Engine users. We have improved our maximum guest setting in Softinn Extranet. Along with this improvement, you are able to determine if you want to limit the total number of guests when the guests book the room on your direct booking engine. Let's check out this video to find out more about the B Max Guest Setting in Softinn Extranet. Log in to Softinn Extranet. Choose the right property. Click More. You can click on the Customize Booking Engine button. On this page, you will be able to set it if you want to limit the max number of guests for your direct booking. If you set it to yes, the guests are not able to book more than the max guest you set for each room type in the Manage Room Setup page. If you set it to no, the guests can book the room even if the total number of guests exceeds the max guest limit of the selected room type. However, the total number of guests is still limited to a maximum of 30% more than the maximum number of guests set in Softinn Extranet. This means, even though you set not to limit your max guest, the system will still protect the hotel by limiting it to a maximum of 30% more than the max limit. To set the maximum packs for each room type, please go to the Manage Room page. Click on the Edit button for each room type. Fill in the maximum adults and maximum children for that particular room, as you wish. There will be a total maximum number of guests on the right written in light blue color. Furthermore, if you would like to further control on the number of children for each room type, you need to choose Yes for Max Guest Setting and Customize B Setting. Then, you are able to view the setting to restrict the number of children. If you choose Yes, the total number of children cannot exceed the maximum number of children. If you choose No, the total number of children can exceed the maximum number of children, but the total number of guests cannot exceed the maximum number of guests. Let me show you an example on how your guest would see on your direct booking engine, if you set to limit your max guest in Softinn Extranet. First, on the Customize Booking Engine page, we set the max guest setting to Yes. Then, go to the Manage Room page to set the max guest for each room type. In this example, I choose Villa Room Type. I set the max adult to be 2 and max child to be 1. I turn on the restriction to children, so the number of children cannot exceed 1. On the booking engine, if the total packs is the lesser or same as the max guest limit, we are able to proceed with the booking. If the total packs is more than the max guest limit, we will not be able to proceed with the booking. Kindly note that the number of children cannot exceed the max child packs as well. Even if the total packs does not exceed the max guest limit, but the total number of children exceeds the max child limit, you will still not able to proceed with the booking. Once the booking is confirmed, you will receive a booking email. It will show the number of guests inserted during the booking, and the max pack set by the hotel. In the booking ticket, there's an important note stating that the host or front desk officer reserves the right to deny the guest check-in upon their arrival if the number of guests exceeds the maximum guests allowed. In the room details section, the max guest will be stated as well. Let me show another scenario, when you set not to limit the max guest in Softinn Extranet. First, we need to set the max guest setting to no. Then, go to the Manage Room page to set the max guest for each room type. In this example, I choose Villa Room Type. I set the max adult to be 2 and max child to be 2. I am not able to view the children restriction in this case. On the booking engine, when I try to make a booking, the total packs can exceed the max guest limit. However, it is still limited to 30% more only. Similarly, once the booking is confirmed, you will receive a booking email. It will show the number of guests inserted during the booking, and the max pack set by the hotel. In the booking ticket, it will also state that the host or front desk officer reserves the right to deny the guest check-in upon their arrival if the number of guests exceeds the maximum guests allowed. In the room details section, the max guest will be stated as set by the hotel. Let's set up the max guest setting in Softinn Extranet for your direct booking engine today.
Hi, thank you for watching. My name is Isadri bin Hamidi. I'm from Product Department and my role in Softinn is a junior software developer. Thank you.